Welcome to Mindshift. I'm Brandon, and today I've got something a bit different for us, adding a little bit of levity to all of these tough and deep conversations that we've been having recently on the channel. One of you sent me a video from CER Spence, I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's a sketch video about what it would be like to live with an atheist. I watched the first minute or so and thought it was really funny and thought it might be fun to do a small reaction video to this. It's always good to poke fun at yourself and see where some of the atheist tropes are currently, and maybe even argue against one or two of them throughout the course of this video. So let's see what they have to say about having an atheist as a roommate.
Bless you.
Shut up! Never say that to me!
Spencer recently found the r/atheism subreddit.
There's not a single religion that can survive these two words. Prove it!
I'm definitely gonna make a post about this. Not that I believe in karma, but I do like Reddit.
The whole Twitter feed is just retweets of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Partly because it's such a good show, and because I love the name, and I don't think it's just a theory, I will say the best show of all time is The Big Bang Theory.
Okay, first of all, it's funny because I know people just like this. Bless their hearts. I don't know what it is about certain stereotypes, but sometimes they work. This idea of him finding the atheist subreddit and then just having these one-liners and being offended by people saying bless you and loving the Big Bang and all of that, it's hilarious. I actually have a link in my description to part of the atheist subreddit, which are materials. It's additional links that they've listed as resources because it's such a good grouping. And in general, I see people with really good advice helping each other out, but there's definitely those posts where someone is just looking to be offended. Their friend innocuously says, God bless you, or even just bless you. And they have to let you know where that comes from, what Gesundheit really means, and how it's just further proof of religious control, yada, yada, yada. This is a caricature down to a T. I also tried very hard not to be this person after my mind shift.
The most intelligent show on TV today.
I could not feel your church group praying for my safety. The fact that I'm home safe does not prove that it worked. That logic is post hoc ergo propter hoc.
I also do love, I think there's something to be said about you become more philosophical, you want to look for better arguments, whether you're on the atheist side or the apologist side, and you're trying to really make sure you have an argument for your faith. And we start to learn about the logical fallacies and how to put together and defend a philosophical argument, and kind of this intellectual side of religious skepticism or even religious belief. And him just like cackling at the long list of logical fallacies that Sheldon lists, I think is hilarious because now he's in on it. He can join the few parts of public culture that depict his beliefs and just latches on to that.
Let's see, I think it was like when I was 11, that was the last time I had a debate about God with somebody.
You used to be cooler in 6th grade.
In 6th grade, we used to trigger everybody together, and it was awesome because they were all godheads, and they were all idiots, and we were the best.
And I grew up. What a vague statement. What are you doing? Don't touch me.
I want to send you to your little afterlife so you can realize that it's all fake.
Two things there. The joke about sending you to the afterlife so you can realize it's all fake, right? I think that it's playing on a concept that is kind of true. Like, it sucks that we'll just never know. As much as the Christian wants to be there and see the look on my face when I realize that hell is real and that's where I'm going, is a little bit of the desire I have when we're being little about these things, to have all these people that believe so strongly and tell me they know God loves them so much and what a plan he has for them. And sometimes it feels like it would feel nice to see them see that there's nothing there. It's an awful thought. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like the thing they've dedicated their life to is not true. It's a terrible feeling. Or to find out at the most pivotal moment that you've wasted it all here on earth, etc. But one can get to a certain point in their beliefs that are so strong and they feel that other people are so wrong that you just want this thing that will never be proved. Either way, like no matter what anyone says, you will have people that believe religiously and people that are skeptical of those religious beliefs. And I think both sides would just love for there to be that justification moment. Also, just the idea of like, hey, we used to debate this stuff in 6th grade, like who actually still does this in their daily life. I know I have a YouTube channel doing it, but that aside, yeah, it's not how I live my life. Like, I don't go around just waiting for someone to commit a logical fallacy and pounce on them and then tell them their God doesn't exist, right? Like, that's not everyday life. You have to still be a normal human being. You can't just walk around as this ardent atheist that just defines your lifestyle, which is, I think, what they're poking fun at here.
He's an atheist. I mean, So am I, but I don't go around telling every single person I meet.
One of my favorite pastimes is to go to the local library and move the Bibles over to the sci-fi section. Sci-fi means science fiction. It's made up. Okay, let's try this. This is called House. Dr. House is also another legendary atheist.
Humanity is overrated. I don't think it's a tumor.
Per usual, doctors and scientists are the ones saving lives, not little sky daddies.
I really like this. Like this guy I think is just nailing it. And there's a lot of hilarious things here, like finding, again, references in modern media to this thing that you now believe. It's got to be akin to the same feeling as when you're a Christian believer and you're a kid and you see VeggieTales. That sounds like a mean example, but it's like there's a good representation of what I'm believing in an entertaining way. The little jokes that, like, there's so many atheist jokes, like, oh, we would move all the books in the library to the sci-fi section. Hilarious, because it's science fiction, because it's fiction. And they are funny. They're funny little concepts, but again, it's almost like this rite of passage as you watch people kind of become an atheist and see the same regurgitated stuff on a subreddit, etc. And again, people that really take it on as a personality, they wear it a little heavier and work it into conversations where it doesn't quite fit and things of that nature. So I get it. It's just, again, really well done. None of this is to say this is how all atheists act, but there are atheists who act like this, and it does feel like this.
I guess, yeah, doctors are the ones saving lives, but why do you care so much?
I don't. That's the thing. I literally don't fucking care.
Seem like you care.
I don't actually care about any of that. Every first date I have, before we begin to dig into our succulent breast meat, I actually pray to the flying spaghetti monster. This is a litmus test to see if the girl on the date actually has an IQ that is not in the double digits.
He makes his own merch.
That's why we do what we do, because it is all bullshit.
Hi, my name's Trent. I'm one of Spencer's friends. Every couple of weeks he has me make a bunch of shirts for him. He's pretty incredible. He uses a lot of big words. Can tell he's a really smart guy.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit of atheism. Big Bang Theory, House, and pretty much every podcast that Neil deGrasse Tyson is in. If you get educated on those, then you will understand the tenets. I'm gonna bring this into like every wedding I go to, every funeral.
Okay, I didn't want to just keep interrupting so much, but yeah, like I said, making it a whole part of your personality where it's like, why do you care so much? And I get accused of that on the channel a lot. Again, the purpose of this channel has its own measure towards helping people that were like me, because it is real trauma. It is a real indoctrination for people to wake up out of, and that is life-changing. It affects relationships, and it affects how you choose to live your life and what you sacrifice for and where you put your value system, etc. Like, there's so much to this. I don't want to downplay it with silly videos like this. So yeah, the purpose of this channel is to care and show that care. But again, walking around in your daily life, like correcting people or making sure that everyone knows around you what you believe, like you're so individually important, is ridiculous. The making your own merch and these ironic Christian t-shirts and then wanting to wear those around traditionally religious activities like weddings and funerals, etc., is unfortunately, I think, yeah, what some people do. They want to show how unblasphemous it is to not believe in this God, and thus the spaghetti monster thing with his date, using that as a litmus test to make sure that she's as reasonable as he is, while not understanding how unreasonable it is to continue to use that as an example, or to take the time to show that it's so silly by actually praying to that at the beginning of a meal, etc. Like, I'm sure all of this is highly exaggerated, but I'm sure some people really just walk around with this on their sleeve 24/7, and it would be ridiculous.
I have a little bit of gallows humor, if you will. When I find out somebody died or I read the obituaries in the newspaper, I say to myself, bye-bye, because they're gone forever and they will never return. That's it. They are dust.
I have some pretty religious family members that I grew up with, and they probably talk about religion like 5% of what Spencer does.
Was I raised religiously? No, but I was in Boy Scouts and I was exposed to a lot of Christianity.
Get out of my room.
There is no evidence of God. I have not seen it.
Well, then vaginas aren't real.
Oh, what do you mean? There's evidence of vaginas?
No, you haven't seen them. Get out of my room. It's like 8 a.m.
There's no videos of God on the internet that I've seen.
So a few things from the last minute here. The gallows humor for sure. Like, again, if you lose your respect for something being sacred because you throw that out with the bathwater of religion, then I think there's kind of this immediate pendulum swing over to, well, nothing is sacred, so let me challenge that. I think you see that more with like younger teenage rebelling atheists than you do with actual people that have just come to the conclusion that they don't happen to have a belief in a particular God based off a lack of evidence. Like, most of what I'm seeing here is like when I think back to like certain high school behaviors that as a Christian, I was like, they are being so ridiculous, without recognizing how ridiculous my behaviors were at the same time. Making the joke about when people die, being like, good, you're gone, you'll never return. Like, this atheist seems to have the answer to the afterlife, that it's oblivion, right? And I don't take that stance at all. I have no idea. I could see a billion things happening. We wake up from one simulation, we talk to the coder, and we go into the next simulation. There's some kind of eternal recurrence where our consciousness pops into another creature 10 billion years from now, and it's like instantaneous to us. And in that way, it's kind of like the idea of reincarnation is almost correct. Maybe there's a God none of us have ever heard of, and there's some test that all of us either passed or failed. Maybe there's something completely else. Maybe there's nothingness, but nothingness is not an experience. Oblivion is not an experience. It's a lack of that. So just this idea that A, we can know, and that B, we would be glad for anyone to be in one or the other. I mean, as long as there's realistic versions of hell where people are somewhere they don't want to be against their will, I think other than avoiding things like that, wishing anything else specific for someone or that someone's version of heaven doesn't exist is just unnecessary. I can believe very certainly that the afterlives proposed by the Abrahamic God are not valid based off the lack of proof and evidence for the validity of the Bible. And I can believe that they're not true. And I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think it's actually falsifiable, but I have no idea what actually is. It doesn't give me any additional knowledge to not believe that. Oh, and just the going up to your Christian friends or even like just nothing, no, they don't care at all friends, and picking a fight or just saying like, well, there's no evidence. What do you have to say about that? Like, it's 8 a.m. and his little comeback insulting him is like the virgin incel is, I think, what they're kind of going for there is also another characterization of the angry atheist. Again, it's unnecessary. It's funny. I understand like their little joke on the evidence there, but let's continue.
Some people say it's hard to find a girl with a good sense of humor. I think it's hard to find a girl with my sense of intellect. Yes, I am an intellectual.
Just tell me that you're atheist and not an agnostic, because agnosticism is the definition of cream. Yep, this is exactly how religious people respond when they are challenged with the art of debate.
What brought this up? I was asleep.
You thought I was gonna say it!
The tropes of believing you are smarter than someone else, intellectually speaking, just because you think you have come to the correct explanation or definition of something when they still believe in something that you think is without reason to believe, is not the definition of intelligence. There are different personality traits, people that are gifted in different ways, and super concise, pragmatic, practical, rational thought, though I think is highly important and a skill that anyone can learn and should be taught, is not necessarily innate or an innate gifting for everyone. And I think that's why so many people are open to religion in general, is because many people either aren't taught that or don't start with any kind of a base like that. But that's one small part of someone's overall intelligence. There are massively intelligent people that still believe in Christ. There are massively intelligent people that have believed in many different religions over the histories. It's also funny because that whole thing there about like the art of debate, like anyone seems that way, especially in like a subreddit of atheism. You know, you learn an argument or two, or you learn why the Kalam doesn't even get you all the way to Jesus, and you get these little talking points, and you see someone bring up a fallacy and you can name that fallacy and then give your point. And I think that people can just really start to feel like they're so good at debate and they're so good at taking down weak arguments and things of that nature. And when those people get pressed or exposed to a new idea, they kind of fold, or they don't know what to say. And so memorizing a few good quips from Hitchens does not make you an atheist debater. And I'm not claiming to be an atheist debater. I've never taken part in a formal debate. I would love to. I would hope to get into that in the future. And in doing so, and keep me in check, I will always try to not consider myself an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I do have both very personal and scholared experiences with the particular Protestant canon and subsequent belief system that I think I can speak to pretty well. And it's been personally interesting enough to me that I have done enough research and read enough books and watched enough arguments and debates and tried to figure out what I would say or what side I come out on in different iterations of this belief or of the argumentation for it or against it, etc. And so I feel like I've done more work to maybe get myself closer to being prepared, but never an expert, never better than anyone else, and never should the ability to debate one's ideas be the definition of how sound they are. So a lot to say there. Let's keep going.
My poor grandma died happily in her deathbed, believing that she was going to be going to heaven, teleport there or something. She literally died with a smile on her face. I felt bad for her.
Imagine there's no heaven. There's not, so I don't have to imagine.
When I hear the name of the Son of God, I think Jesus, because that is very sus, and I read the Bible. Age like milk.
You did not read the Bible.
I read it like I have the app Reddit.
I'm trying not to respond to these in a defensive manner because I understand this is not personally attacking me. And I understand I've also said on this channel I've read the Bible X amount of times and I've gone through it, and I've taken it very seriously. And I read it in its entirety when I was a believer for many reasons. And then I've since read it in its entirety as a non-believer, just those Christian bias glasses off and just let's look at this for what it is. That's kind of the whole point of the secular Bible study we're doing here on the channel. But do both Christians and atheists like to make some claim to how much of the Bible they have read? They do. Both sides do. Some people have, some people haven't. Some people have and it doesn't matter and they act like it does. Some people haven't and they think it sounds like it should matter, so they say they have. The sad part is I do believe many Christians have not fully read their Bible. And if you really believe that the creator of the universe is speaking to you and gave you one source of media to use forever to know him, and you've read Harry Potter 4 times, but you've never read it all the way through the Bible, that seems super silly and ridiculous to me. If you're an atheist who just doesn't believe, you don't owe anything to anyone. But if you're an atheist who says you don't believe because you know better, because you have proof that the Bible is not valid, you should have also read your Bible before making those claims. And so I think it's necessary on both sides and unnecessary on both sides, depending if you're not speaking out too much against it or for it. But also there is just too much credence given to it in general.
He said he wants to start a church so we don't have to pay taxes for all the shirts we sell. He said once the church gets started, he's going to make me a priest of godlessness. We pretty much hate organized religion, so that's why we're making this church.
The funny thing is everybody just is so wrapped up in religion, it controls their lives. Religious people, it's all they can talk about. Have you noticed that? All religious people can talk about is their little gods and their beliefs. They're so obsessed. It's all they care about. They will not leave the subject alone. It's we get it. Your whole identity is your religious beliefs. Shut up.
Yeah, so it just ends there with the hypocrisy, because people make atheism a religion. As much as I know that atheism is not a religion, it is not a belief system, it is not a claim to any kind of morality or anything else. It is just a simple admittance of, I don't believe this. There are people who wear it as a badge, use it as a personality, make it into a club, and going out of your way to make something that you've said you've seen the harm in. Okay, you see harm in organized religion, or you don't think it's necessary, or it's not worth the byproduct that you get from the harm, even if there are good things that come from it. You can feel all those things, but then why would you want to go out and create an anti-theist church where everything is sacrilegious on purpose and the goal is to offend the people that still believe, to show how much you don't believe? That, I think, is where Christians just get turned off, and it's not going to help, and it's not going to open a dialogue or bridge a gap or do anything. And then even other atheists just are what are you doing? This is unnecessary. Yes, I miss a lack of community, and I think it would be awesome if there was a Sunday gathering of kind of secular ideas and you listen to someone present a TED Talk. That would be cool. But just making another version of church that is all about the antithesis of church out of some messed up zeal for your nothingness belief, etc., I think is disbeneficial. Funny, but disbeneficial. And then yes, it ends there with him just not recognizing that both sides of the aisle can err in this way, can be annoying, can make it their personality, can talk about it when it's not even brought up organically, that want to prove their points, that want to proselytize. At least Christians and believers that believe in an afterlife, they proselytize on your behalf. I think it's Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller that has the excellent sentiment about, if you really believed I were going to be burning in hell for all eternity, I would want you to tell me that. Like, how selfish of you, if you really believe that, would it be for you not to try to save my soul? And I think that that's something that's important for atheists to understand, is that people who are acting out of their belief system in a way that might annoy us or we see as ridiculous because we know how untrue it is, if they're really believing it's true, would you expect a different action of them? Would that be fair? And so again, I agree with Penn there. I think that there is a real respect for people that proselytize that. So in that same way, I think it's important to kind of understand people's intentions and motives. If someone like myself is out there with a message of, this religion isn't true and it's harmful, and here's how you can know, and let me help you in your doubting and in your deconversion, it's because I really believe that it can be harmful. And I really believe that people would be better off erring on the side of science and rationale than erring on the side of faith and mythology. But there's still a right time to do it, a right place to do it, the right attitude to do it with, the right intentions. I think all of those things matter. So, wonderful video. It's hilarious. I think that satire is important to call out the errors of any kind of individual or system or organization, etc. And this was really well done. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I will see you Tuesday with a video on what it means to be born again. And Thursday, we're getting to the 5th book of the Bible for our secular Bible study series. So I'll see you on all of those. Until then, keep thinking.